Well, punters, coming up to the big Moonee Valley Carnival this weekend. We've got Friday night, of course, with the Manikato Stakes and, of course, the Cox Plate on Saturday. For a lot of punters, the biggest weekend in racing. What a time to bring in a bloke who he's tipped over 1,200 tips at the track since we've been recording him back in 2009. Using his staking plan, showing 25% pot, and that's using starting price. So any guess if you're taking the fixed odds and following his staking plan. Mark Hunter, how are you, mate?
No, Damien, yeah, good, thank you.
That's the way. And look, we've got to start with a bit of a confession to start here, mate. I was about to talk about lockdown and Melbourne, but I believe that's not the case for you at the moment, mate.
No, we'll be next week, but no, I fled to Queensland about 3 months ago and I couldn't see much point in going home to prison, so I still here, but I do have to return home next week.
I love the words we use at the moment in this environment, fled and, couldn't handle the lockdown anyhow. We're hopefully at the tail end of it, mate. Great to hear, Mark, that at least you can go down to a pub or something and watch the big races on the weekend.
Yeah, for sure. You wouldn't even know it exists up in Queensland. It's weather's beautiful every day. Everything's open. I think we had maybe 5 days of lockdown here through it once, though, maybe 7 days of lockdown. But apart from that, it's full steam ahead up here.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Us Southerners and your friends down there in Victoria will love hearing all that. But anyhow, getting on to the important discussion point, Mark, obviously with those stats, we had to talk to you, mate. Look, I think the thing that gets me with Moonee Valley, where all the action is this weekend, is, look, it's one of those tracks that's very peculiar. It's got its characteristics. It's pretty much a circular track, very small straight, only about 160 metres. There's all these chats. I mean, there used to be the camber that a lot of people spoke about. Maybe it's changed a bit. Is it a leaders track? So one of the toughest tracks, look, in my personal opinion, one of the toughest tracks to get it right on. You're doing it. Can you give us a bit of a view on what how you see some of these characteristics, and I guess how you consider them when you do the format?
Yeah, probably with Moonee Valley, for starters, the circumference of the track is not great. So I think it's really important to try and get a visual of where they'll be, say, at the 400-metre mark. Are they going to be tucked back inside them with traffic all over them? Are they going to be fifth, blending into the race beautifully? Are they going to get a nice run outside leader? So I think you call them speed maps, race shape, call them whatever you want. I think it's absolutely vital to try and get that picture right at Moonee Valley and then combine that with the rail positions, out 7. I'd rather be leaders back or outside leader or leader than the horses back and coming wide have just got no hope. So I think pretty important to try and get your race shape right up the valley as a starting point for a form reference for a race.
So Mike, just in that, you mentioned rail positions. So clearly rails out, the more rails out, the tighter it is. So the back markers have got less opportunity to come home.
Yeah, for sure. Like as a rule, you do get changes. You'll have one meeting where it changes, but as a rule, rail 4 or 4 out, 5 out, 7 out. I'm working on leaders. It used to be at Moonee Valley Rail True, you could always run on. It was a beautiful run on track. That's changed as well. If the track firms up, you can get leaders tracks. I think you've just got to try and think on your feet and, reference previous rail positions. Was it wet when it was out 4? Now it's back true. You think it's going to be fresh ground, that sort of stuff. And, yeah, just try and factor everything in together. Like you get the All-Star Mile Day where you get that track where you couldn't really pass a horse. You've only got 2 lanes. So horses that were favourite or in the betting have virtually got no hope, whereas a horse like Scorched Earth or Grand Slam, you've just got to promote them so much on that day.
Yeah, okay. I mean, let's just talk about, looking for your leaders. I mean, if I just use a bit of a case study here and go back to the Moya Stakes, I mean, we had Shakiro and we had September Run. September Run was 1 and Shakiro was 2. I think September Run didn't jump. Shakiro, did its usual thing and sort of showed a bit of pace. But really, by the time they sort of levelled out, it was back probably about 3 on the rails. Probably not a great place to be. I mean, when you're assessing leaders, I mean, is there anything your punters should look out for there just in terms of some of those inside gates and trying to work out who's going to lead the race? I mean, obviously race speed is important, but,
yeah.
How do you factor that in with the tight track and so forth?
Well, not really as well you factor in. I thought Profiteer would lead that race clearly, which I thought gave it a good winning chance, and had Wild Ruler stalking it. Now, the pace was probably more than I anticipated when that horse kicked up inside Profiteer. Yeah. We'll take you forward to the Cox Plate where you've probably got Zaki. There's 3 gates inside Zaki who'll go forward. but I don't know that any of them will want to lead. I can't remember off the top of my head, but Delasan, the New Zealand horse, and the 3-year-old Captivant. So they're the three that probably roll forward. If any of them lead, you think that's suicide for them. They're not going to win the race. So, you've got to factor in, okay, Zaki's drawn 6 outside them. Will he end up rolling to the top and totally dictating the race? If he does that, obviously you promote him as a better winning chance in the race. So just a matter of trying to work out who you think will do what. You certainly don't get them right all the time, but you may as well have some idea how the race will be run.
Look, there's some great insights there, Mark. So, I mean, just to clear a couple of things up you said there, obviously that Canberra, not as significant anymore, and that's obviously since they sort of redid the track there, I'd imagine, at Moonee Valley, that's probably not playing as significant. And then the leader bias tends to be more relevant when the rail's out, and obviously that means a tighter track, harder for back markers to come home.
Yeah, tight, rail out for sure, but also firmer track. You get some quite firm tracks at the Valley these days. The track's completely changed over the last few years. Again, looking forward to Saturday, you've got Friday night rail true. The forecast is, who knows what the forecast is, but at the moment it's for rain Friday night. So you can just imagine wear and tear on that track Friday night. Come Saturday, you can't think it's any bonus whatsoever to be down on the rail. So in those sprint races that you referenced, a horse that's going to be 5th inside, 6th inside, realistically should be in a horrible spot. And whereas the horse that's going to be 6th, 7th, 8th, blending in 3, 4 wide, it's the one you're going to be looking for in those 1,200-metre races.
Oh, geez, look, this is gold for the punters thinking about their speed maps for the big day on Saturday, Mark. And look, I like what I'm hearing there, where you're really considering what happens on Friday, rain, wear and tear on the track, where the rails are. Hey, look, I think punters are getting more than that bargain for in this chat, mate. So thank you very much for that. Hey, I have to ask a question, Mark. Obviously, early on, we're filming this on Wednesday, so a lot of information to come. Anything you've at least got your eye on, mate, from this early stage?
Well, look, I'll go for the two main races, Friday and Saturday. The Manikato, which is a very even race. My two there would be Saver 2XL, who, without having a speed map in front of me, is going to be banging forward somewhere on the speed. And I thought Express Pass might be the one blending in if they go too hard off midfield. So at an early stage, I'll go Saver 2XL and Express Pass there. And Cox Plate, I think Very Elegant's the best horse. You go back to that Caulfield Cup last year, she beat a terrific field. You could argue she maybe should have won the Melbourne Cup. And that's a much better standard than what we've got this year with the lack of internationals and whatnot. So the rain forecast, I think Very Elegant's the best horse, but I do like the State of Rest. As long as the track looks okay, first look at it, I'd say it might be a worry on wet ground. So I'll go for Very Elegant from State of Rest, but obviously track pattern and everything can change between now and then.
No, thanks, Mark. And of course, punters can find out it all, and in particular the staking plan. And a lot of punters ask questions like, well, hang on, I can pick up a few tips here and there off Mark off the radio. Obviously, as we say, obligated to tip in certain races. Staking plan is actually what Mark suggests you bet on. Leave some races, participates with 2 or even sometimes 3 options with various staking in others. It really is, with the 25% pot over 10 years, it's got to be your companion on Cox Plate, and even, Mark, you have a Manikato package out as well. I trust?
Yep.
Yeah, great. So look, what a great thing. Obviously, Google Mark Hunter tips or come to thegreattipoff.com, and in the search bar, put in Mark Hunter and you'll be taken straight to it. Hey, Mark, all the best, mate. For look, is this your favourite weekend, or is there another one that tops it off, mate, as far as the spring racing?
Oh, I love the Derby Day. Derby Day weekend's a beauty. Derby Day Cup week, it's hard work. You start to wear down after Cup Day, you're just about out of gas. You've got 2 to go, but if you can find a winner that week, that's usually where you get your big value.
Good on you, Mark. All right. Well, look, all the best, mate, and thanks again for your time.
Thank you.